Okay, so imagine a general who can see everything, everywhere, all at once. I'm talking about a strategist that can process satellite feeds, drone footage, and social media chatter in like the blink of an eye. Now, this isn't some sci fi movie concept, this is the reality of modern warfare, and it's being completely rewritten by artificial intelligence. So, today, we're going to break down how AI is changing the very nature of conflict, from the top command centers right down to the front lines. Think about it. The old way of doing war was, well, it was limited by human speed, right? Decisions were slow, they were based on bits and pieces of information. But now, with AI, that whole model just gets thrown out the window. It's like having a super general that pulls the entire battlefield into one single real-time picture, and it gives you strategic options faster than any human team could ever hope to. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dive into this idea of the AI super general. Then, we'll look at how it spots threats that no human could ever see. After that, we'll get into the mind-blowing acceleration of machine speed combat. We're also going to uncover its secret but super important role in logistics, tackle that big, thorny question of who's really in control, and finally, wrap up with why this all matters so much, right here, right now. Okay, let's kick things off with this central idea: AI as the new super general. I mean, just try to picture a single mind that can see absolutely everything at the same time, from satellites in space to troops on the ground to attacks in cyberspace, and somehow make sense of all of it instantly. You see, this super general is just insatiable. It's constantly gobbling up information. It digests everything. We're talking high-altitude satellite images, drone feeds, even ground-level social media posts. And it uses all of that to build one complete, unified picture of the battlefield. You know, a task that would take a whole team of human analysts hours, maybe even days. The AI puts it all together in seconds. Literally seconds. And, this ability to see everything at once, it leads right to AI's most powerful use: intelligence. See, modern war creates this just overwhelming flood of data. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose. Well, AI is the only tool we have that can actually do that, and not just drink from it, but find that one single critical drop of information that can change the entire outcome of a battle. And a huge chunk of that data actually comes from something called OSINT, or open source intelligence. You've probably heard of it. This is basically information that's just out there, available to the public, if you have the tools to find it and make sense of it. We're talking about social media posts, news reports, commercial satellite images. For a person, it's mostly just noise. But for an AI, oh, it's an absolute goldmine. And the results? They're honestly staggering. Get this, an AI can spot a camouflage tank in a satellite photo in just a few minutes, a job that used to take a highly trained human analyst hours. It can sift through thousands of TikTok or Telegram posts to track a military unit's movement, just from the little digital breadcrumbs soldiers might accidentally leave behind. But here's the kicker. It uses all of this data to predict what the enemy is going to do next, and it does it with almost terrifying accuracy. So, the process itself sounds pretty simple, right? But in practice, it's revolutionary. Step 1. You get that flood of data from every source imaginable. Step 2. The AI gets to work analyzing it, looking for hidden patterns that a human brain would just completely miss. And step 3? The result is pure, actionable intelligence. We're talking clear targets, urgent alerts, basically a massive strategic advantage. Okay, but seeing things quickly, that's really only half the battle. The next big revolution is about acting on that information fast. AI is cranking up the entire pace of war to speeds that, honestly, are kind of hard for our human brains to even wrap our heads around. To really get this, you need to understand a military term called the sensor-to-shooter loop. It sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means is the time it takes from the moment you spot a target to the moment you can actually fire on it. And in any fight, the side that can do that faster, the side with the shorter loop, has a huge, huge advantage. So historically, this loop could take hours, sometimes even days. I mean, think about that. More recently, we got it down to minutes, which was a big deal. But now, with AI automatically connecting the dots between the sensors and the shooters, that timeline is being squeezed down to something almost unbelievable. We're going from minutes or hours all the way down to seconds. That's it. The entire process, from a drone spotting a target to a weapon actually being launched, can now happen in the time it takes you to take a deep breath. When you can react that much faster than your opponent, it doesn't just give you an edge, it fundamentally changes the entire nature of the battle. All right, let's switch gears for a second. We've talked about the flashy stuff, but now let's look beyond the front lines to the invisible backbone of any military: logistics. Because, wars aren't just won with weapons. They're won by keeping the whole machine running smoothly. And in this new era, AI is becoming the master mechanic. What AI logistics does is prevent problems before they even happen. It can predict when a part in a jet engine is about to fail and make sure a replacement is already on its way. It can analyze thousands of different variables to find the one single safest and fastest route for a fuel convoy. It can even monitor biometric data to track things like troop fatigue. It's this proactive approach that helps armies avoid those costly, devastating surprises that can cripple a campaign. But of course, with all this incredible speed and automation, we run headfirst into the biggest, most difficult question of all. When machines are moving this fast, who or what is actually in control? And this, right here, brings us to the really profound ethical dilemmas of autonomous warfare. And look, there are really strong arguments on both sides of this. On one hand, you have people who say these autonomous systems are faster and more precise than any human. They're not clouded by emotion or fatigue, so they could actually save lives. But the arguments against it are pretty chilling. Who's held responsible when an AI makes a fatal mistake? What happens if a small error gets magnified and scales catastrophically? And maybe the biggest question of all, can a machine ever replicate human judgment in the moral chaos of a battlefield? Really, this all boils down to one incredibly controversial issue. Should a machine ever be allowed to select and fire on a target without a human signing off on it? That is the ethical red line that countries all over the world are struggling to figure out where to draw. And that leads us to this really fundamental question. You'll hear experts talk about needing meaningful human control, but what does that actually mean? Does it mean a human has to be watching a video feed, or is it enough for a human to set the rules of engagement beforehand and then let the machine go? The scary part is, there is no global agreement on this, and that's a deeply, deeply unsettling reality. Okay, so let's tie all of this together and talk about why this is so urgent right now. This is not science fiction. This isn't some far-off, distant future scenario. These systems are being rolled out as we speak, and they are actively shaping global conflicts and the entire balance of power. Honestly, the stakes could not be any higher. It feels like we're standing at a fork in the road, facing two completely different futures. Down one path, maybe we use AI's precision to create shorter, more surgical wars that actually reduce collateral damage and save lives. But the other path, that one leads to chaos, to faster, more unpredictable conflicts that can escalate at machine speed and become more destructive than anything we have ever seen. And here's the most important thing to remember. The technology itself isn't good or evil. It's neutral. The final outcome is going to depend way less on the algorithms themselves and way more on the rules, the ethics, the policies that we set for how they're used. The future of AI in war, it's not a tech problem. It's a profoundly human choice. Which brings us to the final defining question we have to ask ourselves. Is AI going to make war a tool for stability, or will it become a new, terrifying force for chaos? The thing is, the answer is being written as we speak, not just in secret military labs, but in public debates just like this one. Understanding this technology isn't just for generals or politicians anymore. It's absolutely essential for any of us who want to understand the future of security in our world.